This is Lindz,
This is Russ.
and we're married.
Are we?
Yep, since 2013,
We're the hosts of the Unfiltered Union podcast.
where we discuss popular headlines and interview interesting people.
Our opinions may vary, but we will never censor our guests or our viewpoints.
Welcome to the Unfiltered Union. Taxes.
That's what we're going to talk about?
Well, just a reminder.
Don't
do your taxes?
No. Fuck the government.
Oh.
Oops.
You might have to edit that part out.
Nah, yeah, probably.
No. So taxes are due. And when this episode posts on April 15th.
Yeah, Monday, tomorrow.
Yeah. So if you haven't filed your taxes.
Don't. This is not financial advice.
Right. Just a reminder here. Looking out for you.
But
Ask for an extension if you need it.
or don't.
But do is what we're saying. Okay.
Don't go to jail.
Exactly. That. Yeah. Well, it'd be a white collar jail, right? Maybe.
Taxation is theft. And so is inflation.
That's how we're starting today.
Yeah, you want to talk about taxes, so I'm talking about taxes.
It was just a reminder. I'm trying to do a service here.
It's a reminder that the federal government is a scam.
Great. You want to dive into that at all?
Why not?
Okay.
They suck. All your money is being spent on things that you most likely don't really agree with, like war, for example.
Great segue. World War III?
It's coming.
I agree. I think we're on the cusp at this point.
Yeah, Iran just attacked Israel with drones and missiles, and I think most of them got intercepted, but it's still an attack.
Yeah, at this point, it seems like everyone in the Middle East is going at it.
Oh, yeah. And you know who's going to be in the middle of it? The U.S.
And the UK.
In the UK. We're going to be the ringleader of war. We got to fund the military industrial complex and get all those big companies paid, which is awful.
Yeah, this actually wasn't going to be my next topic, but since we're here, I might as well, right? So Israel conflict has spread to 16 nations, and the Biden administration says there's no war. I'm reading an article from The Intercept, and it says Iran's retaliatory strikes on Israel highlight an American-led regional war spanning Iraq, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and others. A bunch of these countries are now on the, heightened threat list.
Like the
travel list or whatever.
Yeah, right.
So
advisory.
It's escalating at this point.
For sure.
And people are being warned not to travel to these areas. And it's what I think we've been saying for a while now. It's been kind of clear that this was building.
Yeah, for sure.
And now we're at a point where more are getting involved, more things are happening, and we'll see what happens on this side in the West.
I have concerns because an attack from Iran on Israel is a pretty big deal. It's not, at this point, it's not a terrorist organization. I mean, some people do consider Iran a terrorist organization, but it's a country.
Right.
That's awful.
Yeah.
And what is this going to spin into?
Well, what is it already spun into?
Yeah, but we're not involved in a way that...
But we are.
We could be.
But we are, though. And I think that's the one thing that's bothering me. Again, I need to do more fact checking of this article. But everything that it's saying in this article is essentially we're already there. We're already helping Israel. We already have resources in the area. We are already doing our own counteractions. There's a lot going on that we're involved in already. So with all of this that's in there, that's happening, and the fact that they're saying that there is no war, it's like...
Well, Joe Biden also said that Trump was going to be the one to go to war with Iran.
Yeah. I almost had a reaction
I saw it.
Maybe he should have, but I think we get involved, it's World War III.
We stick our noses in places that we shouldn't, and to be honest with you, I think that's one of them.
I agree. I mean,
we're not world police. No matter what that movie said. Team America World Police. We're not. I mean, we shouldn't be. We are, right now, but we shouldn't be. But this is the reason why people hate our guts.
Right.
We go in there, we try to spread whatever we're trying to spread or take resources, and it turns into a shit show.
Yep.
We get terrorist attacks because radicalized people that hate America try to attack us.
Right.
But why wouldn't you when we're over there drone striking people?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not even at war. Technically, we're not at war. Technically. Doesn't Congress have to declare war?
I think so.
Okay. Well, they haven't.
Right.
And yet we're over there dropping bombs and killing innocent people. And I mean, yeah, we might be killing bad people, but we're not at war. We shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
Unless we are full on at war. Let's stop.
I agree, but I think this is going to be another one of those things where we don't know. They won't tell us.
Of course they're not.
Until it gets to a point where it's no choice, right?
I don't know. It's scary to me.
I agree because
yeah,
of the potential for how big this could get.
Yeah, who's backing Iran? You know, is it China? Is it Russia?
Is it both?
Is it both? I'm pretty sure they're not super tight, but they're tight enough to where they would probably back each other up in a war with us.
Yep. And then we have fallout.
But then we're also spreading our resources to Ukraine, which it's like, really?
Mm-hmm. You missed the segue there.
I know.
Then we have fallout.
Yeah, the show.
Yeah, but also what could potentially happen from all this, right?
Based on the video games, the show on Amazon that just released last week on the 10th or 11th.
I don't know, but we binged it regardless.
We did. We are done. And what did you think?
I was thoroughly entertained. I will admit. I don't know. I feel like there are still a lot of plot holes missing. Like, they didn't answer all of the questions, but it's season 1, right?
Yeah.
So you got to give it time. There's still world building, story building. But overall, it was pretty good.
I liked it.
Do you feel like it stayed true to the video game?
Yes. In certain ways, yes. But I think it was entertaining, and I think a fan of the games will really like it. But I also think people that aren't into the games, like yourself, will like it.
Agreed.
It was...
Do you feel like I would like it more because I don't know the games than people who would?
No, I was more interested to kind of get your take on it. I liked it regardless, just because seeing a video game that I played or a video game series that I played come to life was really cool. And it was it was brutal.
It was.
It was a little bit, it was almost on the edge of being too brutal for me. I mean, I know the games they're pretty messed up too, but oh my goodness, it was graphic.
I feel like a lot of the shows that we watched, like back in the early 2010s, right, really set the scene for how brutal you can go.
Oh my goodness, like Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, Walking Dead. I mean, any zombie flick, in the 2000s, I think it really has escalated, in my opinion, with how far they're willing to go in the gross factor.
Right. I don't like all that. I think it's unnecessary.
Gore to me can be too much. I agree.
Like Game of Thrones, for example, the torture stuff. It was...
Yeah, that was hard.
I know they're doing it to make you uncomfortable because that is uncomfortable, but it's still sickening.
Yep. Gore and torture are not my thing.
We stopped watching Walking Dead because of that.
Right.
We literally cut it off. We were like, all right, we're done. I'm over it.
How far are they willing to go? And they just kept going.
Yeah, right. And I guess the other reason why we kind of stopped watching Walking Dead was because of the fact that it was like the same thing over and over again.
Felt very repetitive towards the end, yeah.
We killed this big bad. We move in, we have this small slice of peace, then another big bad comes in.
Yep.
Now we have another slice. We beat him, now we have another slice. Blah, blah, blah.
I feel like with Fallout, so the way to me that the series played out, right, is in episode 1, they introduced us to 3 character arcs. Episode 2, we got another 1 or 2 characters. They were more minor. They didn't have a life in the rest of the show, but the idea that you can have character arcs like that introduced and then follow them through the season, I think they could do a lot of that because
they could.
From what you've said, you pick your character in the game.
Yes.
And no character's the same.
It's an RPG with a lot of customization. You can go in there and be a freaking diplomat, like put points into speech or whatever it is and sway people to your cause.
Right.
Or you can join the factions that are in the show. It's nuts. And it's cool because it's a Bethesda game, which is based in Maryland.
Not that we have any claim to that area anymore.
No, but it's right. It's close. It was close to our previous home.
Yes, where we used to live.
And they were always great games. But I will say, I think their latest game, Starfield, is some shite.
We're just going to go through their games.
Well, it just was a big letdown. It wasn't bad by any means. It just was not their standard. Their standard is really high.
You mean the storyline, the characters, everything?
All of it.
Yeah.
It seemed rushed. Not a fan.
Interesting. Well, what about Dune?
Dune
2.
It's like Doom. What are you talking about? Another game? I'm going full on games? No, I like Dune 2 a lot.
Yeah. I think I'm not as impressed with it as I am with Fallout the series. Obviously, series versus a movie is kind of different. Really, apples, oranges. But cinematography, amazing in Dune 2.
It's nuts.
So I actually had to go back and rewatch the first Dune.
Yeah, it took us like 6 hours.
Well, watching Dune 2, I had to go back to watch the first one in order to feel like I could watch the second one. And sure, it helped, but the story is really big.
Dune is huge.
Right. If you try and dive deep into all of it, it's a big story, almost like Game of Thrones, right? You have all these houses, and then you have the one king emperor person. And I don't know, it's just, there's so much that I think they don't go into.
They can't.
I understand, but if you're going to do it, then do it right.
But they can't because it's a film.
I understand, but if you're going to do it right.
So would it be better as an adaptation on TV? So
Possibly.
They have the episode after episode, kind of like Game of Thrones?
Possibly. There's no way Game of Thrones could be a movie, right? It's too much that happens. So if you're going to do something that has such depth to it, you got to do it to the full extent. Because all of this like surface level stuff, you don't feel, see, understand the full motive behind everything.
No, right. 'Cause it was even hard to... I had to explain a lot of the first movie to you.
Again.
While you watched it.
Right.
You're like, okay, what does spice do? It's like it essentially makes them tripping, but gives them like superhuman abilities to make sure their ship doesn't crash while they're traveling in space.
Right. Makes space travel possible.
Right. So it's the most valuable thing in the galaxy, whatever. But I liked it a lot. I thought it was amazing. The graphics were freaking nuts. The story was good. Obviously, it was good. But I can't wait I hope number 3 comes out.
Yeah.
The choreography for the fight scenes was nuts.
They did a really good job. I will say it was a really good job. But again, I feel like if you're going to do something like that, you need to go deep because it is deep. So again, the idea of motive, like it's his house. If you think of House Targaryen, you think of these big houses, right? That's heritage. That's his whole family line.
Right.
So, I mean, there's a lot more to it than just, he got reassigned and then boom, it's like, I don't know. There's more to the story and it's very surface level and I can feel the very superficialness of it.
Yeah. I mean, the Emperor was playing a game and there was more to his game than just reassigning that family.
Right. And I will say, spoiler alert.
Oh, God.
I'm just going to talk about the last scene for a second. Spoiler alert. If you don't want to hear it, turn it off. Let's fast forward, do something. But the last scene, the main character, Paul, right? He is essentially becoming the person that he's being pushed to be, right?
Yes.
So you can see it, right? It's almost like the two-sided personality. When he's looking at Zendaya, I can't think of her name in the movie right now, but when he's looking at her, I will always love you. And then he turns around and he flips his mask, right? And now he's the prophet, the one that's going to save them all.
He tells the emperor's daughter, like, you're going to marry me.
Right. It's the idea of his two personalities. And again, I don't think they go deep enough for us to understand the gravity of that.
No, I don't know. I think it's good for a movie adaptation, but I do think that you do yourself a service by reading the books. I didn't read the books, but I read a lot of a pretty in-depth breakdown.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to read the books. I'm just not. They're too much. Like Game of Thrones was the same thing. I started to read Game of Thrones and I'm like, fuck this thing. It's too complicated for me. I'm smooth brain.
Uh-huh.
I'm dumb. And I'm okay with it.
Mm-hmm. I need a knowledge base of how everything intertwines and interwebs and
it's too much. But giving me a little bit more backstory by reading through like a wiki type page was kind of helpful.
Yeah.
Well, I recommend it. Sticking
to screens right now on screen. If you haven't watched the new Bluey yet. So the first Bluey, the first new episode that came out.
Ghost Basket.
Again, spoilers if you haven't watched any of the Blueys yet. Mm-hmm. We are Bluey parents.
Big time.
We love that show. Love, love, love. Yes, our daughter is 9 years old. So technically, she's not totally invested in it as if she were when she was younger. I think when, a few years ago, she was really into it.
Yeah, it's a 5-year-old show, and she's been watching it for all 5 years.
Exactly. I think she's into it so much now because we are.
It's an emotional attachment now.
It's a family thing. Like, we do it as a family.
Yes.
So it's not so much that, she could go without it. She wouldn't care.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know after that. This last episode, The Sign.
Right.
Spoilers.
Right. So Ghost Basket ends, and oh god, the healers are selling their house.
And I felt it. Why are we so attached to that house?
To everything. But I kind of want to talk about that for a second, though, because they had his for sale sign, right? And the whole thing about this was the dad, Bandit, got a new job and it was going to be in a different city. They had to move. They were selling their house, right? When we decided to move to Florida, I don't think we had that, at all. It wasn't the house. It wasn't even the town or the state. Obviously, it was the family that we were going to miss.
Right.
That was our, lack of a better term, pain point, right? That's what we were going to miss. The idea that we are attached to a cartoon house more than we were to our own.
Yeah, I didn't really care. It was, like you said, it wasn't the house. It was more of us venturing into the unknown that was kind of concerning.
For sure. Yeah. I had big concerns about that, so I could relate.
We moved down here with nothing.
With jobs, that's it.
Yep. And we didn't have a house. We
didn't know what school our kid was going to.
We hadn't even completely sold our house in Virginia yet. It was on the market, but we had jobs that started like a month after we got them.
Right.
So we had very little time, and we stayed in an Airbnb. All that was what was scary to me. It was like, we're going down there without a place to live, really. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to live in an Airbnb, and that was super expensive. Not recommended. I mean, it was a nice spot for us at the time, but that was more of my pain point. We had to kind of move quick.
For sure.
But yeah, attachment to Bluey's house. I felt it too. And I think it's less about the house, kind of like with us, and it was more about her friends and family.
Right.
Because she was moving away from all those kids at Calypso's school. Mm-hmm. And it was like, no, I don't want her to leave Rusty and
her neighbors,
right?
And all the memories that they had in the house. We watched all of these memories in the house.
But we had memories in our previous home, and those are up here in my head.
Well, and in photos.
Yeah, but I did not care about that. But I think, like I said, I think the big issue is all those friends and family members. Are we going to see them again?
Right.
That was
all the people we got attached to that surrounded them.
Yeah, that's not Bluey, Bingo, Mom, and Dad.
Well, and it wasn't clear at the episode of Ghost Basket that they were coming back. Like, are they moving and the show's over?
Right. Yeah. It got everybody, news and social media spinning. Everybody was like, oh my God, they're going to cancel Bluey. They're done.
It was panic.
It got so bad and so like pronounced on social media that the creators of Bluey and the producers came out on social media. It was like, no, we're just going on hiatus for a while. We're just taking a break.
53 episodes later.
Yeah.
We need a break.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
Right. So
calm down.
I don't know how long the break's going to be, but they'll be back.
Right.
I believe them.
I believe it more now than before because
me too.
When they showed, again, spoiler alerts, Bandit pulling up the for sale sign, they're not selling their house anymore. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So the latest episode was all about
the sign. It's called The Sign.
The sign. Yep. The for sale sign and how Bluey was distraught about this for sale sign while Bingo's over there oblivious. I love that part. But yeah, it was a solid episode. It was all about Frisky and Radley getting married and how life was going to change for Frisky too. And Radley had the idea of moving her out west, whatever that means, in Australia. I have no idea. Probably crocodiles there too. And blue ring octopus and all kinds of scary shit.
Same shit that we got in Florida, let's be clear.
But it was all about like change, and is change always a good thing? And it's Bluey, so there's some deep ass life lesson involved, and it was all about like making the right decision.
Yep.
And Bandit, I loved it at the very end. Their house eventually, like they had it sold.
Yep.
The contract fell through, and Bandit went from being kind of hesitant. He said he kept questioning himself. Am I making the right decision? And to me, that's a red flag. If you have to question it like that, you're probably not making the right decision.
Yeah.
So that contract fell through, and he goes in defiance and rips the sign out and throws it in the middle of the street. And then Chili runs and tackles him and hugs him. She didn't want to move. She was completely clear about it.
Right. But she loves her husband and supports him.
Yeah. And he got a good job and he wanted to do it. And it was a lot of money and all that. And then it ended up with him not feeling like it was the right decision. And he gave it up. It was solid. Made me cry.
Well, there's one more episode before the hiatus happens.
Surprise.
Called Surprise.
What's that going to be?
I don't know. I can't handle much more.
Well, Chili's sister, the one that everyone assumed was unable to have kids, she's pregnant.
Yep, Brandy.
Which was pretty cool.
I do feel like that episode, The Sign, really like closed a lot of loops.
Yeah, it was Bandit's parents. They were both there.
Bandit's parents, the butterfly,
Grandpa Bob,
Greenie. I mean, there was a lot of the budgie flying. Like there was a lot of callbacks from long ago episodes.
I think that's why a lot of people thought it was over.
I know,
because they were like, "Hey, look at all these old episode quirks that we're bringing back. We're saying goodbye." No, they're not.
Well, the idea of the surprise. What do we think it could be? And I want to talk about it again and see if we were right or wrong.
Well, we know it's not going to be them going away.
Right. They're not moving.
I don't know, because they kind of gave away the surprise of Brandy being pregnant. Is Chili pregnant?
That's what a lot of people are saying. That maybe Chili's pregnant. I don't know how I'll feel about that either.
Why?
It's going to change the dynamic.
So?
I mean, I love Socks. Don't get me wrong. Socks was the cutest character ever.
Yeah, now she's talking.
I know, she's growing up so quick.
We watched her grow.
So, like, I don't know. It's going to change the dynamic.
It'll be okay.
And then I actually, on Instagram, I actually posted, I was like, you know, the characters are going to age while they take a break. Their voices are going to change. Are we okay with this? And I actually had a lot of people talking me down. Like, the voices have already changed. It's 153 episodes. They're already growing up. It's okay. It's like, thank you, internet. But
I wonder, I did see, this is another spoiler totally unrelated to the episode, but I did see an image of grown-up Bluey with a kid. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if they're doing like a flash forward or what.
I hope not, honestly.
If they change that part and they make Bluey an adult and it's like following the kids, her kids, it's not going to be the same.
No, it won't. And it'll make me very sad.
Old Grandpa Bandit, that wouldn't be any good. No, I wouldn't like it. I mean, I don't know.
I would either.
They can write. They're good at writing, so they could probably make it work. I got faith in them, but I don't know. It would not be the same.
It'd be like moving anyways, because you're going to have to get to know all new characters and how their dynamics are and how they interact. Like, you know how the Healer family interacts with all their neighbors and all the people at school. So for them to move on, and if it is Bluey with her kids, you're going to have to relearn all that. It's like, no, give me my comfort.
Well, in that picture that I saw, Bluey as an adult, her child looked like Jean-Luc. Mm-hmm. That kid.
Yeah.
So it's be kind of weird.
Why would it be? Well, he is French. It's going to be hard.
Yeah. I don't know how they would.
Are we going to learn French?
Right. Does she learn France?
France.
Did she learn the Francis?
New shirt.
Did she learn France?
Did she learn France?
I'm doing it.
So, what did I say? Reverberation is a shirt, and it is available on the Unfiltered Union store.
Correct.
We're going to have a new one coming out now.
Yes. Did she learn France?
Did she learn France from Russ? There you go. New shirt.
Quotes all day.
I love it. Okay. So, I want to ask you a question.
Don't.
Have you ever bought anything from Shein?
What is Shein? No, I bought Temu stuff.
Temu?
Yeah. I bought a fishing rod and a fishing reel from Temu.
I was just curious. So, Shein is kind of like a Temu or a Wish or...
But it's for clothes,
any
right?
of those fast fashion. Yes. Fast fashion apps, companies. So, there's a new documentary out on Max. It used to be called HBO Max, and now it's Max.
Is it about child labor and stuff?
No, it's about a woman named Brandy Helville and the cult of fast fashion. There it is. And essentially, it's all about how she took things from Shein, from fast fashion, and her claim to fame, right? She got famous off of this. And in the news has been all the bad things about Shein, right? So she got famous off of this, and they're trying to expose and are exposing the bad things, the drawbacks about fast fashion. So Shein has faced allegations of forced labor and unsafe working conditions in the past. However, the company's denied it in a statement to Global News. But a lot of people think that the reason why Shein is a thing, it's a big deal while it's so famous and popular and people keep buying shit from it, it's tapped into the fast-paced, ever-changing trends that appeal massively to the young audience who's looking for affordability and virality. Virality. That one.
Is it virality?
I don't know. One of the two. So I've never bought anything from Shein. I did do Wish a long time ago. Like 2016 maybe.
You buy one of them 3-headed dogs.
It's dog meat from Fallout.
No, he's a good boy.
Okay. So, but the idea that Shein is so popular, is so famous, is such a big deal. If you think about, everything on TikTok or everything on Instagram, like all the people who are in fashion, like they're looking for the latest trends, and Shein can pump them out quick.
Yeah, but you think about it too. It's not just Shein. Amazon is all about quickness and cheapness.
Shein is a seller on Amazon.
I know. I'm just saying, though, Shein is cheap, right? Mm-hmm. It tends to be pretty cheap and economical. People are going for that.
Economical in the sense that it's cheap for the buyer.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's cheap for you to buy a piece of clothing from Shein.
Right. Economical in the sense that it makes the company a lot of money. Not economical in the way that it contributes to an economy in whatever area that it is producing.
It's probably contributing to China, right? Isn't it a Chinese company?
I'm not sure, but it is definitely Asia-based. But they have a lot of suppliers that provide to them so that they can sell, right?
Yeah, and it's terrible trade.
Right.
And I get that. I think that's messed up, but you can't say that about Shein and not say that about Apple or any of those other companies because they produce their phones in China with terrible labor practices.
Well, and then what does Apple say, right? That they try to ensure that this isn't happening and they visit the places. And it's like the reason why, though, it's so popular is
It's
because
cheap labor.
Exactly.
Right. It's terrible conditions and cheap labor. All the people that cry about that kind of stuff. It's like, what kind of phone do you have? I guarantee you your phone was made in shit conditions.
But what phone isn't, though?
I know. That's the problem.
It's like I think you and I have said it multiple times, either on this podcast or just in life, right? It's talk with your money, right? If you have something against your morals, talk with your money. But a pop-up of Shein just went into a Vancouver shopping mall area and people flocked to it.
Of course they did.
So it's like...
They made a name for themselves.
You know there's problems with it, and yet it's still something that you flock towards.
Right.
And like you said, iPhones are the same thing. Apple's the same thing. Like, if we were to talk with our money, like, what would you do instead?
There's not really any options.
And that's crazy to me.
I know. There's no real American-made cell phone that's good out there.
It's crazy.
Just because Apple, it says on the back, designed in California. It ain't made there, though.
Right.
That's for sure. It's wild. It's super messed up. And I don't know. I guess, what do you do?
Right.
You go without a phone?
Well, do you go without, the latest trends in clothes? Do you, there's all these things that you think that you need, but do we need any of this shit?
Well, I guess the problem, too, is inflation has taken a lot of people's spending power away.
True.
So Shein is capitalizing on it by having cheap stuff. Same thing with Amazon.
Yeah.
They undersell stuff. They take losses on a lot of items, but they make up for it in volume.
In Prime membership.
And Prime memberships, selling you on other stuff. It's nuts.
Yep.
And I'm guilty of buying things through Amazon when I could be supporting my local companies.
Agreed. I think everybody's guilty of that.
But the problem is inflation has taken a lot of our spending power away.
Right.
I go to the grocery store and I have to spend $375 a week instead of
$200.
Instead of $200 or less.
Yeah. Those were the days, weren't they?
And what's crazy though is that is not that long ago that we were only spending $175 to $200 a week.
Yep.
It is nuts.
Agreed.
But places like Shein, and they're just going to keep raking in that dough because people need clothes.
But do you? I mean, like, as much as
you will go to jail if you go outside naked.
True. But as much as people buy, like, over-consumerism is a thing.
Absolutely. No, of course people are going to overuse it and buy way too much stuff. There's like, oh, it's a $5 shirt. Instead of me buying one $25 shirt, I'll buy five $5 shirts. It's like, no, you only need one shirt.
Right.
Don't do it. But I do think that inflation has messed a lot of people up. And they've had to change their habits. It is ridiculous.
Well, along with habits, how much water do you think you drink in a day?
Not enough.
How much water do you think you need to drink in a day?
I need to drink. Isn't it your body weight in ounces?
Almost.
No, I thought it was.
Close.
So if you weigh 150 pounds, you have to drink 150 ounces.
Close. So there are a couple of studies that are happening, and what they're saying right now is that you might need to drink more water based upon your activity level, on how often you exercise, if your job's active, as well as if you live in a hot climate or if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. Now, if those things apply to you, then if you are a man, you should drink up to 125 ounces a day. And if you're a woman, it's 91 ounces. Now, there's a lot of variability to that, right? You're supposed to drink when you're thirsty, drink a glass before meals and between meals. And then it says if you can stick to 8 glasses a day, you will at least feel hydrated. And then the old rule of drinking half your body weight in ounces is a good goal to have.
I thought it was like 1 ounce per pound of body weight. That's interesting.
Yes. So the rule of half your body weight is a good rule of thumb, but it doesn't take into account different body sizes. as well as your thirst, level of thirst, your climate, and your activity level.
Well, that my activity level is 0 or it's negative. So does that mean I don't have to drink water at all?
No, because you are thirsty throughout the day, are you not?
Oh, I just drink coffee.
Let's just keep adding caffeine.
Yeah, coffee is good for you.
Jitters.
Jitters and shitters.
There's another shirt.
No, I won't do that one. That's inappropriate.
Oh.
To wear. I'll make it a youth shirt so all the kids can wear that going to school.
Smart.
Love you.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Unfiltered Union.
Did you like the episode? Support the show. Visit us on Patreon at patreon.com/unfilteredunion.
Or you can rock some merch. Check out our store at store.unfilteredunion.com.
For all other things unfiltered, check out our site at unfilteredunion.com.
It's what you do with the things you love.